coach, mentor, and I am here with Alison Kavanagh, all the way from Ireland. Woo!
Greetings from Ireland. Yeah, Alison Kavanagh. Yeah. I guess I better introduce myself.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell us everything. Tell us everything.
I'll go for it. I trained as a massage therapist 33 years ago, in 1988.
Yes.
And I've continued to study ever since. So my favorite place in the world is the classroom, whether as a student or a teacher. I'm good with both, and just love body work, energy work, inspiring people to be the best version of themselves and to pick up a new skill and share that and help other people. So I'm director of Holistic College Dublin. Myself and my brother Aubrey run the college. We started off pretty young. If you've seen Aubrey's interview, he mentioned that our dad was interested in yoga, nutrition, healing, which was pretty unusual in the 80s. There wasn't maybe so much known about it. Like Dad had a regular day job. He was worked for IBM. He was into logistics, fiber optic cables, anything kind of to do with developing technology. But my mom dragged him to a yoga class. They were living in New York when they first got married, and she was doing yoga with the TV, and then my dad was like, oh, okay, I'll give it a try. And he was like, oh my goodness, there's something to this. He kind of was a pretty intuitive guy anyway, a natural psychologist. He came from a farming background, so he kind of was pretty in tune with nature. And I think that's what he brought through in all his explorations and encouraged us to explore. So when I was in school, I was like, do I want to be a laboratory technician? Do I want to be a physical therapist? I knew I wanted to do something around discovering and people. And I wasn't quite sure what way that was going to pan out. So while I was deciding, my sister was living in California at the time, and she was like, come out and do a few classes. So I had graduated from high school, and I decided to go out for the summer. And then she was like, yeah, you still don't know what you want, stay. So I did a senior year in high school in Northern California. So when I moved home, still undecided, I was like, okay, I'm going to take a massage class to see if I really want to work with people in that way. And then I'll go and do my physical therapy course. And then I was like, oh my goodness, I love this. And then I just wanted to know everything there was to know about it. So I studied every therapy I could find. I just have a curious nature. Myself and Aubrey are quite different personality-wise. I'm curious. I'm outward looking. I want to know what everyone's doing, and then kind of take the best parts and kind of go, oh, I really like the way they did that. Even classes that weren't so good, I learned what not to do.
Yeah.
I thought they shut the group down when they put it that way. And I just love the exchange that happens in classes. I love the sharing, the positives. As a result, I'm writing a book at the moment. So it's my first book. I haven't decided on a name yet. I'm looking at it's holistic well-being. I haven't settled on a name. We keep coming up with different ideas. I'm like, no, that's not quite it. It's all the experiences that I've had and the aha moments where I've gone, oh my goodness, this is brilliant. It just sums it up. It shortcuts the whole thing, and it just, it's that neat little package.
Right.
Yeah. So
I think that you said so many great stuff. I want to start to dive in a little bit with everything you said. First would be natural. Your parents were pretty natural. They like nature. And for me, that's one of the things I believe with our profession that I think sometimes gets lost in the shuffle. This is pretty natural. This is nature right here. The human being is nature. And I think like yoga probably was one of the first steps of your family kind of almost slowing down and getting into themselves, and then passing that on to you and Aubrey which is amazing. Well, I also want to say too, what a duo. Because
Yeah.
Aubrey's out there talking a lot. But then I was like, I want to meet your sister. I want to meet your sister. Because there's no way you can come from a household where dad and mom are like doing yoga and you're a senior in high school going to California to learn more,
Yeah.
how, I mean, that's amazing. So I just want to give another shout out to your family at large and just how beautiful a journey and how early it started for you and Aubrey.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's 7 kids in the family, so I have 5 brothers. So I probably, I had to, be a good negotiator. It's like, I
Yes.
can stand up for myself here. There's things that I think of Aubrey as he's really into the technology. He's a whiz with all the devices. He's really mechanical. He can see the patterns of things. I tend to probably be a little more intuitive. I like to feel into things. How does this feel to me?
Right.
What feels right? What connects, that lights me up? Aubrey went to study a particular therapy that I said, do that, Aubrey. This is really interesting. And he was like, yeah, I don't know about this. And he's trying out a few of the new techniques he learned. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is awesome, Aubrey. It was this Bowen technique. People often think it's like bone, but it's Tom Bowen, the Australian guy from Geelong that came up with it. They say possibly he learned it from Aborigines and so on. But Aubrey's like, yeah, not sure. And I was like, I can feel my limb filling up with this energy. I was going, no, this is perfect. So myself and Aubrey can come to the same conclusion, but we've different pathways there. So we've different perspectives. And I think that combo of when Aubrey's gone 10 steps ahead, I kind of go, hold on a minute. I've got the first bit. I need to build on that. So I get him to back it up. I can ask him the question so that somebody who does not understand this can get it in a piecemeal way, that they can, okay, got that bit, and that can hook on to the next bit. So yeah, we work really well together. We pretty much work together on everything. Again, back to my father, he was like, when you're teaching something, you build a picture. They mightn't remember the words, they mightn't remember exactly what you said, but they'll have that picture in their mind that they can work towards that. He had amazing stuff. That he was a natural teacher. He inspired us. He never told us what to do. He was like, yeah,
that's
sure.
how my dad was. That is a bonus.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was frustrating, but he was like,
he would say what he would do in the situation, and he would say, what are you thinking of doing? Where's that going to lead? Is that the outcome you want? So it's like, by all means, do what you need to do, but look a little bit further down the road and see, is that where you want that to lead you to?
Yes. So I think that's one of the things too. When you were saying, I thought of the idea of collaboration is just becoming more apparent, especially in the body work community, just because there's so many different ways to see things. And I always think of like a flock of geese. Like the geese, they fly, they have one goose in the front, but they change who leads the pack.
It's that harmony. Yeah, I think it's the harmonizing that when, I jokingly say to Aubrey, we'll build it and they'll come.
Yes.
We do huge hours. This isn't a job or a career. We live it 24/7. I know that's really corny, but there's never a time we're not working on this. I remember we were training together as physical not physical therapists. We did do physical therapy, but we also did personal training. And as PTs on the breaks, we're discussing like the minutiae of the sliding filament theory. And, do you think that it's, what role the calcium ions play? And the other students are listening to us and they're like, oh my God, you guys do it ever stop? And we're like, no, wait, because Aubrey will have a piece, I'll have a piece. And it just progresses. So yeah, we just find it endlessly interesting, endlessly exciting, entertaining, and love it.
If you really look at our job, and for me, I know I love watching the body and just looking at people and looking at the different types, the different shapes, the way people walk, the way people talk, the way they do everything. So it really does almost become, when you're really getting all in, it's a 24/7 thing. You're just fascinated by the human being in general. And there's never, for the most part, not human beings around. And if
Yeah.
they're not around, you're inside. You are one. So it's
Exactly. And like even as kids, our dad would maybe sitting in the car and he'd have us watch walks. And like we were small kids and he was like, now, is that a hip, knee or ankle problem? We'd all sit there and kind of, what do you think it is and why we thought it was? So like we were already attuned to, and he would even link it to kind of an emotional state,
yes,
they're walking disconnected. It's like they're not connected into their body. They're, yeah, it was just fascinating. But then that sparked our interest in pursuing therapies. As I said, I probably tend to be more outward looking in that curiosity. Aubrey's the least curious person you could meet. He is, seriously. He's like, I'll have talked to somebody and I know, how old they are, status, marital status, how many kids, and Aubrey's like, how do you even know that? I'm like, background. I want to, the creative cycle, they say it's probably more feminine energy, that we get to the same point, but we go around, whereas the masculine energy, and I mean, they're going to go in straight lines and we end up at the same point. But as I said, I just like that creative flow.
It's
Definitely
interesting. Even the shapes of the energy, the yang and then the yin,
Yes, absolutely. When I'm working on somebody and I close my eye and I'm looking in my mind's eye and, so much information kind of comes in and I kind of have to stop and go, hey, Aubrey, what did I do there? And he'll go, well, you did this and you did this and you did it. So I can tell somebody else because I've gotten it in an instant, but then, to break it down into the steps. So as I said, we really dovetail together, and that's going out into the industry. It's time for people to come together, to get all the perspectives, to get the commonalities, to get agreement. Why I'm thinking of holistic well-being for the book is that you want to deal with all the physical body stuff, you want to deal with the emotional stuff, you want to deal with the mental stuff, and then you want to deal with when all this lines up, that you have this. I would think of so many good sayings that, the power that's there. It's not that you give away your power or that you get power. You are power. And, to have that adaptive range in your power when we're fearful and stressed and worried, it narrows in so small. And how do we expand that adaptive range that, there's that strength, that inner knowing, that intuition, that you just, you do things in a relaxed way. And you wait for that inner compass to guide you.
100%. My favorite thing is the power of the pause. And I think you're talking about that in a big way. For me, if I always go, wait for it, instead of reacting, I try to have a peaceful response.
Exactly.
A meaningful reaction. Because a lot of times when I react, it's just too quick. It's that frontal globe of my brain.
That's it. That prefrontal cortex.
Wait for it. Give it a minute to digest.
Percolate.
Yes.
Sure.
One thing too that I want you and I have spoken about, and I've had the opportunity to get to know you guys a little better because you will be in the Massage Mentor Institute with some classes.
Yay!
Is to pregnancy massage. You do some classes on pregnancy massage.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that a little bit and how it's kind of quiet here in the States. There's no certification. And we were talking about your work with that, and you really enjoy doing work with pregnancy massage. Can you tell us a little bit more about your viewpoints on that?
Sure. Again, there's a lot of cautions around pregnancy massage, and some people are like, no, you don't touch them, wrap them in cotton wool. They shouldn't move for 40 weeks, which is crazy. What I'm really interested in is training people to be confident with the pregnant client. When they're sitting in the treatment room, what information do they need to ascertain so they can do a safe and effective treatment? You can do fabulous work with pregnancy massage. So our focus is on the positioning of the pregnant client, to have everything aligned and to have them as comfortable as possible. So we do side lying and semi-reclined,
Yeah.
totally opposed to those tables that have like the circle cut
Me
out
too.
for the belly to
Yeah.
hang through. You're like,
Yeah.
no. Like we go into the uterine ligaments, like the sacro-uterine ligament that connects to the sacrum, and if the whole weight of the baby, which
Right.
can be, you know, 20, somebody can gain 20 to 40 pounds, but all that additional weight on these ligaments that are already exposed to the hormone relaxin, you know, anyway. We go through the correct equipment and positioning, semi-reclined, and just ensuring that it's a healthy pregnancy. So somebody that's having a healthy pregnancy, that they don't have any high risk, they don't have any preterm labors, they haven't any history of miscarriage, they're not having any extremes like a really high temperature, nausea, vomiting. If they're having a normal pregnancy and it's being monitored and it's progressing, they can absolutely have massage. There's some precautions that we say, you know, no percussion on the inside of the calf and thigh. You're avoiding the path of the saphenous vein, which is more prone to blood clots. But you can do some fabulous work that's so gentle, particularly around the pelvic area, pelvic balance. So while we look at the internal uterine ligaments in terms of what pain patterns they can mimic, so the sacro-uterine ligament can give pain over the sacrum. The round ligaments that come from the front of the uterus, they can mimic pain on one-sided abdominal pain. And the broad ligament that connects into the sides of the pelvis, they can give pain in the glute and down into the hamstring. So it can mimic sciatica. So just to know that the back pain may not necessarily be from skeletal structures, it may be some of these internal uterine ligaments. So just to know their referral patterns. And then in terms of alleviating some of the discomforts during pregnancy, like low backache, we go through the postural adaptations at each trimester.
Yeah.
The tightening of the calves to stop you falling forward, and why that leads to leg cramps and how easy it is to alleviate that. The anterior tilt of the pelvis, that's going to cause shortening of the posterior muscles, the QLs, and weak abdominal muscles go hand in hand. Upper back issues with the heavier weight at the front, the shoulders drawing down, and this leading to headaches and stuff from forward head posture. So a lot of the students that learn this, they're like, I'm going to work on all my clients this way. The sideline position, they just absolutely love it. It's like a recovery position. Everything's cushioned and supported, and it feels awesome.
I cannot wait to see that, because it's
Yeah.
the approach is so thoughtful.
Yeah.
And it's also not just from the outside in, it's from the inside out. And it
Absolutely.
brings me back to the days where you were talking about your father having you watch people, because I mean, we have this weight on our head, so we're trying to balance that, plus we're growing a small person inside of our body, which takes a lot of energy and work.
Absolutely.
And we're trying to do it all balanced.
Exactly. And I mean, you're going to get widening of the pelvis, you're going to get external rotation at the hip joints, that classic kind of waddle towards the end of the third trimester. And just knowing, we do beautiful techniques, kind of pin and stretch and sideline. We kind of call it the clam, where we'll pin just behind the greater trochanter for the deep six hip rotators, and they control the movement of bringing the knee back together to get some lengthening back into those muscles that have got so short and so tight. And super gentle, and really effective, that in one session you can see the reduction in the swelling if it has accumulated around the ankles and feet. You're releasing the fascial migration patterns, you're getting the bones into a happier place, so there's less strain on the ligaments around the sacrum. So iliolumbar, sacroiliac ligaments, sacrotuberous, all those, the tiniest little movements done really gently, and they're just out of pain. It's just, it's awesome.
I love that. And a lot of people, I don't know if you even, I've been to 5 childbirths as a doula. And I think that that's one of the things, like, I've just been fascinated by it. And once you're in the birthing room and you're watching the process, and then you're watching kind of almost the lack of care, meaning like women don't know what to expect, and then all of a sudden they're freaking out because
well, it's treated like a medical condition rather than a natural process, a part of life, evolution, continuing of the species, so the body knows intuitively what to do, and you just assist that. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think, like I said, from what I've watched, the women that I've worked with who have gotten the massage, we've practiced some of the breathing techniques, and we go in a little bit prepared. You can never be totally prepared, just what a different experience it is, and how important I think it is for our community to really start sharing this with women. Because I heard screams down the hallway as my mother was 8 centimeters dilated, sitting Indian style on the end of her bed, and we're just listening to them scream. But I realized that those cries were just fear, because the body's like this. It's gonna hurt. And you're freaking out by the
experience.
The labor pains. You're not going to use the labor pains to help to process the birth.
Exactly. So I just think fear and stress doesn't really help anything, but especially in that situation.
No.
And I even related back to like students doing exams. I do a lot of preparation. We do like a pre-exam, a mock exam before they do their final exams. And sometimes I do a mock of the mock. Always like, stop spoon feeding them. You don't have to wind and burp. And I'm like, yes, I do. but to me, all the stress has gone out of it when they do this mock exam, because I have a sheet. This is the protocol. First you do this, step 1. Step 2, you do this. Step 3, you do this. And they then have a clear picture in their head of exactly what they're doing, when they're going to do it, what to expect. And all the stress has gone out of it, and they do extremely well in their final exams because they're prepared, they've practiced, and they know what to expect.
I am very honored and excited to get a chance to do some work with you and spread the word on these classes. I'm very excited to see it. It's been just a real honor getting an opportunity to talk to you. And it's one of the things I've always been kind of like social media. For years, I was very anti.
Sure.
And I've made these great relationships all over the world and found massage adorers and lovers and people who have been in it. Like, I feel like I've been in it for a really long time, and it's just been such a gift. And to be able to share the gift with someone like you is just such a pleasure and such a joy. And I hope that you'll come and talk some more with us. And I can't wait to see your classes in the Institute. And I just want to thank you for all your hard work.
And thank you, Diane. No, when you're in a treatment room and you're on your own, it is kind of isolated, and you don't realize you're discovering these amazing things. You think, I found this, I've discovered it. Victory. And then you're like, you talk to other people, it's like, yeah, I've been doing that for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. But I just think, technology is amazing for reaching out and for shortening the space between people, and, just building that community, building that tribe, whatever you want to call it. It's like the like-minded people that we want to share. We want to say, this is what worked for me. I want to save you all this time that it took me to work it out, and show you the shortcuts, the nuggets, the real goals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I want to thank you for your time. If you would hang tight, we're going to wrap it up. But I'm very honored, and I appreciate you, Alison, joining me today. And we'll put all the information to your school on the link above the interview. And we'll look very forward to seeing your pregnancy massage class.
And
anything you want to leave us with?
Good stuff. Great to talk to you.
Good to talk to you. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you soon.